I look at how South Africa is at the moment, and there are a lot of tensions, and this is not void of any other country. But being a young person in South Africa, I was very concerned, and I wanted to somehow comment on these documents that we compile that are supposed to be a way of life that we should be following, and how some of the promises or the legislation is kind of not really upheld, not only by members of the government, but by South Africans as well, normal citizens. And so the second project is called Excerpts from the Past, which is somewhat different to the charter. It is not a statuesque endurance performance. It is a moving performance that takes on the persona of Nolwazi, who's this time traveler who looks at different eras from the beginning of time, I suppose, looking at associations with the African continent and what has been said in the media and perceptions about African land and African people. And so using her antique radio, she uses it as a time travel machine to kind of jump from one era to another. It speaks about the issues that we're currently facing as South Africans, where we are within our democracy, but there are still a lot of black people who are landless and who do not have homes of their own. And so this looks at the continent in general, but it looks at how Africans are in a process and have been in a process where they're reclaiming their own identity and trying to make space for themselves within the continent that rightfully belongs to them. South Africa is still divided, even though it seems like there's a facade when you look externally from South Africa. Internationally, it might feel as if, Mandela, the legacy of Mandela has brought South Africans together, but that is not necessarily true. There are a lot of disparities economically, spatially, and in all kinds of regards. We have the Fees Must Fall movement, which has resurfaced again, and this is the third year that it has been kind of in the run. It started in 2015, right after the Rhodes Must Fall movement, where students were saying, even though we are in a democracy and we're a very small percentage of young South Africans who can make it into universities, we still cannot afford the fees. You still have black students mostly in a position where they are going into the working class and not getting the education, the tertiary education that they want to better their skills and to be anything that they want to be, not just what is expected of black people within South Africa. And so there are a lot of tensions that are happening currently. Students are being arrested for fighting for their rights because it was promised that there would be free education, which I kind of touch on in the charter. And those promises kind of seem to be null and void to the government right now. There's always hope. I think that generations of my people have been fighting to get better living conditions and rights and what is truly deserved to them. And I think that my generation is continuing on that. So we're not starting anything new. We are just upholding what our ancestors and the people before us have been trying to achieve for us. So I do feel that one day in South Africa, it may not be in my lifetime, I hope it is, but there will be a better South Africa.